So good day. How was everybody? We got to type over here. So far, we don't have anybody at the live stream yet. Just trying to see how the setup here. I have my mic with me, and we're testing the sound out. Would like to possibly see if we can get anybody in this chat today. Let's see. So everybody, I'm just going to start talking here. You can watch the replay later. I'd like to welcome everybody to the chat today. Thanks for stopping by my channel, Berserker Gang 2019. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Ukraine and Russia. It's kind of affecting everybody worldwide. Yeah, so it's not really something that to look forward to, but the situation in the East has been escalating here. And it looks like the capital of Kyiv is now under attack. And most likely, the media refuses to probably release it, but under my personal interpretation, it looks like the city of Kyiv is actually under Russian control already, which by the media, of course, will not admit to that. They want to give everybody the impression the show is still going on to try to protect Ukraine, but I think Ukraine has already fallen under the hammer of the Russian attack there, of the Russian army. Good day, Curtis Miller, Moncoco64, and Boot Hill Custom Leather. Hello, how are you doing? It's a dirty war. War is never a good situation, actually. War is never a pleasant, and it's never a clean deal. Yes, but that's how that is. Unfortunately, this situation has been kind of lingering in the air now for the last, I would say, 7 years. There's always been poking at Ukraine about becoming part of Russia and becoming independent states to be able to vote, to come back to Russia, and eventually the threat talks of taking it by force if NATO doesn't back off, because NATO kept trying to get Ukraine into the NATO, and there were some talks here and there, but it never actually really happened. And every time that happened, Russia started flexing his muscles. Putin didn't like the fact that NATO is going to be taking another further step towards his door. So that's a real big issue of one of the main reasons of why this reaction is so direct and violent. It's leaving a message to the rest of the world to say, I'm not joking around. I'm taking this. It is rightfully. I'm taking this because it's mine, and I'm not going to get. Nobody's stopping me, basically. And he's ready to use any extreme measure of force necessary. So that's something to take very seriously. Hello, Adian. How are you doing? Glad to see you. So I'm watching the news now. Under my impression, it looks like the city of Kyiv is no longer to defend against the Russian onslaught here. So so far, it's very few civilian casualties, mostly military targets have been taken down, and now as soon as they can actually get the capital under control, and the media can no longer hide from the truth that the capital of Ukraine has fell to the army of Russia, then it's going to be a whole new ball game. Yeah, exactly, Aiden. He's reacting to a threat that's, he said for many years, this isn't good. But you're always trying to put the NATO at my front door, and I don't like that. That's a collective military force of half the world's military at my door, and I don't like that. That's like me coming to you. I don't come over to Washington D.C. and park my tanks and submarines out in front of your door. So don't do that here. And that's one of the main reasons why Putin is very clear on that he's ready to make that statement, react to that with force. So he's it's been out of the refrigerator too long. So he's very sure and determined to make sure that the media and everybody in the rest of the world knows that. Meanwhile, while the smoke screen of all of this here in the media is going on, we have the situation in China right now that is sneakily developing. China is actually poking at Taiwan right now to do the same thing, because they've seen that Putin can just hop over to Ukraine and take what he wants, and nobody's going to do anything about it. And China has been really searching to get a reason to take back Taiwan, but really couldn't do it for any plausible. They didn't have a reason to spark that kind of conflict or that kind of military action. And now, just watching what happened over in Ukraine, they know that nobody's going to come after them at the moment, so they're going to take advantage of that situation and expand their territory as well. That's going to be the next big deal here. If this Ukraine situation starts to settle down in the next 7 to 10 days, we'll start to see China in the news more and more. Yeah, exactly, Butio Custom. I understand that the Ukraine, since he's such driven on military force, he may be considering taking back most of what was the Soviet Union in the 70s and 60s, and there may be a chance that he may actually also go after Romania, Bulgaria, and Poland, and that's a great possibility. That's why most of the NATO troops now are stationed in these NATO countries to protect the borders towards that direction. However, like he was saying, your military is no match for what's coming if you don't step down. And so it's a very serious threat to take serious. There's some serious force behind it. And so it's something to really watch out for. Now, my opinion, this is just my opinion. I'm not a professional at this topic, but I do have some some intelligence about history and some military tactical experience from tactical on-the-ground training. Now, what was I going to say? My personal opinion on this matter is that what's going to happen is Putin they're going to announce within the weekend, probably before Sunday evening, that Kyiv has fell to Russia. So Kyiv is now in Russian occupancy, occupied by Russian troops. Then if NATO somehow manages to provoke Putin any further, I don't believe that we're going to actually see any hand-to-hand, on-foot military-style combat here. 35,000 Russian troops going to Norway. Oh boy, yeah, into the North Sea there, yeah, that's kind of a real scary thought. And but what I see is he's going to move all of his chess figures, all of his. He's going to place all of his moves, and then what's going to happen is something very surprising is going to happen, and it's going to be one morning. The ideal situation would be to take over most of Europe without even firing a single round, just by occupying the outer space of the EU with enough military force to make it dormant enough to keep trade and other militaries in check, and then possibly either by Russian intelligence or by Chinese intelligence, something may happen with the power grid. Now, if he shuts off the power grid, it's very easy to do that, by the way. If and they have the technology and the mastermind behind it to do it. If they shut the power grid off, that would be, what's this? Talking bollocks. Don't know what that means. But anyway, if somehow manages to shut off the power, all he has to do is sit back and wait. It's just a waiting game until the infrastructure eats itself up. The people will turn on themselves, and the police and the social structures and the military won't be able to hold together what is left of the EU. And internally, it'll start to crumble to the fact that you'll have no infrastructure at all, and therefore you won't be able to support a military operation of any kind, and you'll have no chance at resisting. And that's one of the reasons that I think China's in on this. They're waiting for that move because China owns half the world basically in technology, and they own most of the USA by how much US dollars that the US owes China. And so there's a big shadow looming over this whole situation. Hello, Bobhead. Welcome. Glad you could join us here. Yeah, so there's a big shadow lurking behind the whole situation here from China. So the first step is going to be, of course, take Taiwan, and then once that happens, then we're in the big game for the long run here. This could either take, it's either going to go real quick or it's going to take up to two. It's going to take about 2 years, and it's going to be our new world. It's going to be the new conflict that fuels all the stock market driven war games for the next 2 years. If that's the case, it's either going to be a quick and deliberate end game, or it's going to be a 2 year process. That's my personal opinion on that at the moment. We get new information and experience a new situation every day. But looking at the way that Europe is set up right now, I don't think it's going to become a traditional world war in the sense of tanks and airplanes and bombs. There's going to be a lot of technology involved, that's for sure. A lot of fake news. The media, for one thing, is a very powerful weapon. We saw that with the American election this year. We saw that with our health crisis, if I could use that word correctly. The media is a very powerful weapon on its own, and I think if you have as much power as a guy like Putin, you definitely own a quarter or part of the media of the voice in the Western world as well. And you can manipulate a whole lot from that perspective. A lot of misinformation or lack of information can do a lot of damage in certain ways if manipulated correctly. Support the cause, the perpetrators. So we're looking at that too. It's going to be an information war. And like I said, the worst case scenario I think is going to happen is they shut down the power grid and say, have fun. Basically, let everybody start turning on themselves, all the infrastructure fail, and eventually coming in the end, when there is no infrastructure to support the EU, coming in the end as the hero, like saying, okay, you guys, I don't know what happened, your power's out, and we'll help you out because we're such nice neighbors. But here's the new rules. And that's not going to be nice. That's one of the possible outcomes of this situation. Taking over Europe without a single round. He's going to have to do that. He's going to have to take Ukraine first. That's for sure. He's probably already done so. The capital of Kyiv has probably already been taken down as we speak, but we don't know that because the media has not given us this information, this confirmation yet. And so, yeah, that's what we're looking at. I'm just sitting here taking a quick break to reflect on that. And I'm happy to see all you guys tune in. So the media is showing a video game like it was happening in Ukraine. Yes, it's I guess you could almost say it's like a video game. Hello, the Pagan Workshop. Hello, Matthias. How are you? Glad that you can join us. Exactly, Adian. It's going to be something that, and then when he said, the first thing that came to my mind when he said, if you guys don't stop harassing me and poking me, you guys will see measures of an extreme. You will see something that the world has not experienced before. And there's two possible scenarios to that statement that I can think of at this very moment, and that would be the worst of all would be some kind of atomic attack, some kind of nuke. And there's only 2 countries right now in the world with those high sonic warheads, those rockets and so far no country has the countermeasures to stop those types of rockets. He can fire a rocket and it'll take 8 minutes to get to the United States. 8 minutes. That's how much reaction time you have. So I don't think there's a really happy chance to go duck and run for cover if you hear the sirens going off. That's it. This is supersonic. They use the atmosphere. They fire them up in the atmosphere, and they can steer them at any point along the trajectory, that's why this you can't estimate the trajectory like you could a conventional missile and shoot it down with an algorithm firing the computer. You can change the trajectory at any point of the flight with these new missiles, and they travel at a supersonic, like Mach 10 or something like that, and then they go out of the atmosphere, and then they use the atmospheric rotation of Earth to come back in, and they save fuel that way, and great distances can be traveled within minutes. So it's very frightening in that aspect. Now, nuclear would be the first threat. The other one would be, like I said, to starve the infrastructure through some kind of implement from the inside out, or from a kind of electronic cyber attack that will shut down the power grid, possibly not only in the EU, but also in the United States and Australia, which would make this superpower Russia and China the only possible functioning continent with communications and a power grid of some kind, at least short term. It wouldn't even have to be for very long. I'd say if you shut down the power just alone in the United States for, I would say, anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks, you'd have a catastrophic effect on the social structures of communities and the infrastructure of the state as a whole. It's already on its last leg. The power grid is amazing that it's still there the way it is now, with all its ancient technology that we have implemented in it. And it's so fragile that if we were to take one power plant off of the grid, the rest of it would be on dear trouble. And all you would need to do is just shut it down for a split second, globe wide, and then flip it back on. What that would cause is some kind of overload. It would overload the circuit basically and fry all the transformers and major components, and you'd have a real big blackout nationwide, possibly even. And then food will spoil. You won't, the second the power goes out, everything is pay electronically, by the way, with your card. You won't be able to go to the ATM to get money. You won't be able to go to the store with the cash you have, let alone if you have some kind of a store where you get in, and you won't be able to pay with card. The stores won't open, period, if there's no electricity. The gas stations won't pump fuel. There will be no communications, and there will be absolutely chaos. And within just a couple of weeks, that will have destroyed the infrastructure to the point where the military can no longer react on the outside. They have to convulse on the inside to keep at least some kind of order. And if the military is even able to come together to do that at that point. So that's a scary thought. Airplanes will fall from the sky. Now, the movie I was talking about in my last live stream, I looked it up for you guys. It's called Dragon Sky, I think. I think it's what I think it was called. And it was a good movie. Yeah, it's something to do in that direction if you guys want to check that out. It's a B-rated movie. It's a not a Hollywood movie, but a very good movie. Has to do with something down the line of that direction there, with kind of the end of the world scene there. Yes, freedom and prosperity and what they need to sacrifice for it. That is very good. You mentioned that. Freedom is not free. And it's easily said, yes, freedom is not free. But to start off, that just the fact that we have the right to sit here and say that today, our ancestors that we are shunned to mention, because cancel culture has been beating the cat in the sack for a couple of years now. And this year, it's one of the most I've ever seen. Just this last year, 2021, actually, just this in 2022, it's already much worse than it was last year. Cancel culture is beating the cat in the sack with a stick, and trying to totally advert people from any type of ancestral knowledge or believing in your ancestors, or root back in, even just referring to them is already an act of hate crime. So that's just terrible. I think Dragon Sky, yes. If you want to Google that real quick for me and make sure I looked it up earlier, but there's a million things on my mind in just a very few couple of seconds. So it's really hard for me to remember a title of a movie I don't watch frequently. But yeah, so then, that's one thing. And our ancestors have fought for our freedom. The ones that our Scandinavian ancestors, even, and our Anglo-Saxon English ancestors, our African American ancestors, everybody has had their struggles in life to obtain some kind of equality or freedom from some kind of oppressive force in the world, in their part of history. And so we have that, and so we don't know we don't know the value of freedom. We can speak easily of it. We can attempt to understand it. There have been people that have fought for it this day and age that have sacrificed great sacrifices for fighting for the freedoms that we have, on the militarily and in the civilian world as well. And so that's something we should sit around and think about. I myself had just commandeered through a very rather bumpy ride and a struggle. I had to make some choices in my life. I had to say no to a bunch of. I had to say no to a bunch of hard accusations and regulations that I would not follow, and the consequences were severe. But in the end, I am now happy I did, because I came out as a winner. I stood through it, and I am now able to say that I have managed to make it through this hard time, and am on the outlook of a new future that's going in a good direction. It's picking itself back up now finally. And thanks to you guys, though, I've had you guys all along on this ride here, supporting me, giving me courage, and helping me pick myself up on some days that I had nothing much to look out for. So, yes, it's the value of freedom is often realized when it is too late to take it back, to do something about it being lost. And yes, that's correct. That's correct as well, Aiden. That's you only miss it when it is gone. Can you actually hear me very well? I have my Snowball microphone here with me today. I'm using that. I'm trying to see at what voice level I can softly speak and still be able to, because I'm in my office right now, but it's in the corner of a big industrial building. Sound is good. Okay, very good. So I don't have to speak up. That's very important. Okay. And I have a fan. I have a large fan going over here because of the fumes, and I always have a fan going in here to reduce the risk of fire and stinky fumes that are, from shop working. So, and I have tinnitus in both ears, and if it's dead silent, I have a ringing noise, and then in, I think, the left ear, I have one tone above the flat noise that's in both my ears. So the fan really helps me concentrate and brings me down to a level where I can think without hearing the noise. I have the fan on at home all the time, which is kind of terrible, because when I do live stream with you guys at home, I have to turn it off because it's such a closed room, and it'd be all this white noise in here. All you would hear is this rushing noise. And cool. Thanks for the feedback on the sound. That's really good to know. Okay, you can hear the sound, the fan. It's not bothering you. If it bothers you guys, I'll turn it off. It's not a big deal. I just like to have it on. Yeah, real happy to see all these guys show up here today. It's this little spontaneous live stream. Be doing some work at the Viking camp tonight. I'll be seeing if I can. I'll be doing a lot of filming this weekend. Okay, thank you, Monkoko64. I'll leave it on then. If it doesn't bother anybody. So I have a lot of ideas for filming some videos this weekend. As you've probably all seen, the Viking blacksmith shop is no more. It's been abolished. I've taken it down to and planed out the ground and put new gravel. I'm ready to start something new, and so I haven't quite put in foundation yet what I'm going to build, but right now I'm looking at a lean-to shelter with the fireplace and a little lounge corner where I have my hangout, and I can sit down at a table and have my bed set up, and a fireplace in the middle. The fireplace you guys saw me have in the roundhouse in the Viking hut is most likely going to wander into the workshop. And what I may end up doing is using the roundhouse as kind of like a hangout activity center where we perform music and do some kind of light duty work inside when it's raining, or some kind of special events with 2 or more or 3 or more people. I'd like to do what I really like to do is invest in some live streaming equipment so that I can actually have guests, and we can have live music sessions with Viking age oriented music. That would be very interesting for for a change, and that's one of my things I planned. But there's a lot of work to be done before we can even go in that direction. A lot of work that needs to be done. I need to work on my bees. I need to plant some crops this year, and get my workshop back up. Because without the workshop, the Viking camp is kind of without a function. That's my main go-to place. There is my blacksmith shop, and if I can actually get that built, I can then start to centralize around a more professional setup and actually start making some money off of that as well, and making better quality videos, because I then have an excellent setup to put hard mount cameras in the shop at certain locations, put camera mounts in certain locations, so I can actually work by myself and film multiple angles and all that good stuff, and plenty of live streaming. It'll be plenty. Once I get the shop up, this channel is going to take a new aspect. Like I said, I'm investing in some live streaming equipment to make it all happen. I'm just not at the point yet where I have enough experience with all of this. I'm trying to still gain some knowledge and resources along the way from anybody that can give me good knowledge and experience, and I can go test it out. But that's a step at a time. I'm trying to steer away from everything right now that's 5G network, because first of all, it's not a very healthy energy field to be around, and second of all, the wavelength, the band length of the signal is so short. You have to have repeaters at every corner, and third of all, having that kind of technology around you totally invades your privacy in ways that's never been done before. A lot of people don't know that 5G can be used like a sonar to totally like X-ray your house, basically, and they can 3D reconstruct whatever, uh, you know, just by the waves of the internet. So that's pretty scary stuff. Yeah. So World War III. Let's hope not. But right now it's looking. It won't be like World War III. I think it'll be more like one of those. What do they call it? Crisis. Yeah, it's a Ukraine crisis. That's what they call those. It's like a hobby of the world politicians. Oh, what are we gonna do? I don't know. We don't have a health crisis at the moment anymore. We can't be selling that to the people. People are fed up with that. Let's sell them a new crisis. Crisis. Oh, we need something. Let's sell them this war over here. We'll call that a crisis. Yeah, I believe you're absolutely correct, Alchemist. That the loss of our culture and disconnected to our ancestors is definitely a byproduct of capitalistic Western world commercialized ideology. It really is. It's everybody can have whatever they want, can be whatever they want because you can, and your ancestors were so wrong for doing what they did because they used violence to either obtain whatever it was, freedom, or that's the only way. Forces of nature. I mean, those are just natural things. If you try to take a lion's territory or you come into its personal space, most likely the chance is that the lion will not like that, and it's not going to ask you kindly to go away. It's going to use force and fix the problem, and so much like our culture and our history, the same way, humanity has been basically hypnotized and put to sleep and reawoken several times with false ideals and smoke screens put in place to soften up our spirits so that we don't understand the application of using force like we used to a couple hundred of years ago. It was still natural to go to war for freedom, to go to war for, because this opposing force here. And 1,000 years ago, it was like an annual thing. If there was not a day gone by that somewhere in Europe someone was waging war against someone, it's a natural, although it's terrible thing. It's a terrible aspect to admit to, but the human race is a war-driven creature, and it will never change. It's just that now less of us are doing it, going out and actually creating or joining great conflicts. It's more the politicians creating conflicts for commercial value of some kind to obtain or to disrupt other commercial value items, so to obtain some kind of control or power or advantage over someone else. And that's the way that's done today. I have not read that book, The Abolition of Man. I will have to write that down later and check it out. If it's available on audiobooks, I may look into that because I don't do reading too much. I don't have the patience and the time. One, for the fact, the reason I am driving, I'm all constantly traveling from A to B. That's why I have audiobooks. I play them in the car, and that's when my mind can actually listen when I'm open for this kind of type of information. So when I'm driving my vehicle around and listen to a lot of audiobooks then in that manner. Yes, that's a good thing. Yes, I'm a little bit worried about that. But speaking of audiobooks, I know it's off topic, but I actually enjoyed listening to Björn Andreas Bull-Hansen's Viking series. The first one came out in German last year. Now they have the second one. Just remembered I downloaded it on Audible and I never got to listen to it. Thanks for mentioning that. Now I have to go home. I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm commandeering of look. I am contemplating on doing some kind of bushcraft overnighter out near the Viking camp somewhere near my property there. But that would mean a lot of work. I'd have to go home and really, really crank it to get the materials and figure out what I'm going to film. So it's not that easy. Yes. Yeah, but that's something I'd really like to do here in the next couple of days. I need to find a good bushcraft tent. Oh, thank you, MZ. Thank you for that awesome comment. I hope you have an excellent day at work. All right. And yes, Bjorn is a good man. He's my friend. He's a good person. All right. I'll see you soon then. Well, GB, I can agree with that, but then again, I've seen there's examples of animals that have a bigger heart than most humans. It's a very, very shocking sometimes to see that, and so it's very exceptional. Yeah, they can't get it out in English yet. That's a topic. Every time somebody mentions it on the channel, it's very aggravating for Björn. So at the moment, I guess we just have to wait. Yeah, I do have a tarp set up. I actually have to go get that tarp. I really don't like leaving things in the forest, but I have this one little spot that we like to go to. Like we go there a lot off camera. Vanessa and I, we like to just go and have a moment for ourselves sometimes, and we take our tools up there, our carving tools, and sit up there, and we discuss the same things that we guys are discussing here. Where all of us are like spider webs on my face, feels like. And I gotta go get that tarp. I have a little bushcraft shelter set up. It's nothing really special, but I have to go take that tarp down before someone goes up there and finds it and destroys it or has a problem with it. Yeah, the animals. Yeah, it's really, really a thing, I guess. Hearing some weird noise. Yeah, so let's see. The weather is absolutely gorgeous today. And I'm sitting here stuck in my office. Isn't that cool? This is a shame, but it's supposed to be beautiful tomorrow too. So that's gonna be hopefully, if the temperature rises above 6 or 7 degrees Celsius, I may actually break into my beehives tomorrow and give them their new home for next year, hoping that there are, um, hoping they're okay. I haven't been able to look inside or do a knock test on the box in the last couple of days. knock test. You put your head up on the beehive and you knock on the hive to see if you can hear the bees, which you shouldn't do too often because every action that the bees have to do, it costs them energy and food. So I just do that as a reassurance that yes, there's still 2 bee colonies, and I have something to look forward now. If we have weather like this for the next couple of weeks straight, then that's going to be something really cool to look forward to. Hello, GB. Yes, war is so bad, some will never change. Well, I'm doing all right, hanging in there. There's the daily struggles. I have a lot of things on my mind, especially this topic here today we're looking here at talking about, and also planning on the Viking camp. I may change my mind about what I want to do with the blacksmith shop, from minute to minute. So it's a very tough decision to make. Hello, Nick. How are you? Yeah, splitting wood. I have lots of that to do. That is I do that a lot, actually. But at the moment, I hurt my leg yesterday. I don't know what was dropped something on my foot. I thought I had smashed my foot, but at the end of the day, it seemed fine. I do have steel toes, but it never falls on my toes. It always falls on my foot, like where my up a little bit further, and that's smashed that pretty bad. And it didn't make a bruise or anything, but now my knee is terribly painful. I don't know what I did. Maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah, digging holes. Well, I'm going to be planting some trees and some plants this weekend. I have some seedlings that I need that from last year, some cuttings that actually rooted, a whole bunch of willow trees. I'm real happy to see some of my willow trees made it through the winter, and some of them didn't, which is kind of a shame. But luckily, my buddy at the let's make sure what's going on here. My buddy at the construction site, I can go there anytime I want and start cutting or digging up trees because they got these big areas where they dump sand, and sometimes it sits for years, 2 years or a year, and these little trees will start to grow, and they don't care. They come by and they shovel that sand up and take it somewhere else. And before that little tree is destroyed, I get to take it out and at least plant it somewhere. It doesn't have to be on my property. It just has to be close by if it's something useful for the bees, especially. I usually try to save. I'm getting a whole bunch of baby yew trees, little ones like this. Yes, a whole bunch of those. That's going to be special. I have a little corner where I planted the yew tree that I saved from the side of the road, growing from the side of the road. And there's going to be a school of yew trees growing there. I'm going to be planting a whole bunch of them up there on that corner of the road, kind of out of the way where the dogs are, because yew's quite toxic. So I don't want the dogs being around any of the bark or the berries. Although the berries itself aren't toxic, it's just the seeds. You can't eat the seeds. If you break the seeds open, that's where the poison is in the taxine. That's why it's called Taxus baccata, because of taxine. That's a very deadly poison. Distractions lead to boo-boos. Yes, that's funny. That's exactly what's going to happen. Someone's going to be firing some rockets, and right now, this is my perception of things. If everything stays kind of calm and the ball rolls into center field and stays kind of in neutral right now, we'll be okay. And hopefully that's all that's going to happen. Ukraine is going to, be Russian again, and China's going to take Taiwan, that's for sure. And then we'll stop at that. That's it. And then, but most likely, since the U.S. has has no current conflict to spend money on or to produce money, produce more fiat currency to invest into war, they are looking, but they don't have a plausible reason to set foot there other than assist NATO. So if by accident something were to happen in the Baltic Sea, for example, maybe a submarine went sinking all of a sudden, or an airplane decided to not fly anymore, or something of that nature, and it so happened to be that it got hit by a Russian source of something or another, then that's it. That would be the Pearl Harbor 2.0 right there. We'd have our reason. They would have they would have their reason to step foot into Russia. They say, all right, this is war, guys. You shot down our airplane, so that's an act of war. Here come NATO and backed by the U.S., and that's when things are going to get tough. Yeah, Alchemist, I agree. That's always been the best solution. The bigger force. I've studied World War II thoroughly in and out and upside down, and at the time, living here in Germany, it's kind of critical topic. If you study World War II, people look at you like, why do you want to, why are you studying that? But luckily, as an American, I can say as an American, I'm interested in World War history, and they're like, oh, here's an American. Then they just kind of leave it be. But if you study the world wars, it's always to determine if somebody is planning an attack. You count their military force, and you count then the military forces directly next to it. And if the military force that is military is so if two outlying countries have two militaries, and the one outlying force has a military that is 2/3 stronger than the military of this neighboring country, then that is a military that is built to an attack. And that is an attack army. That is an army that's able to attack and take over the force outlying around it. So that's how you kind of determine if a nation is preparing for an onslaught or not, or a defensive tactic. If they're not 2/3 stronger, then they're just defending their country. They want to have a military in place in case something happens. They'll be able to protect yourself until they can bring in the extra amount of resources to push on and ward off any threats. Yeah, for people in the cities. Well, Nick, that's what a lot of people say. What are you going to do when things come down to it? Everybody's, I'm going to go in the forest. That's just as bad as staying in the city. You and a million other people have that same idea, and there won't be a piece of game to be found within 100 kilometers of the city within a day. Most of it that will have been hunted, and the other small percentage that will be left will have been driven out of the close proximity of that location. And all you'll have in the forest, where you thought you would be safe and have plenty of game to hunt and places to hide, all you'll have is people running wild with any reason whatsoever to take whatever it is that you have, whether it be some kind of equipment, hunting gear, clothes, boots, shoes. I don't know, maybe you got lucky and took a rabbit or something like that. Found a means to find some kind of resources. They'll take it, and the woods will be littered with those littered with people setting booby traps, trying to trap other people or animals. So that is something to think about. That is just as bad as staying in the city. So that's a real big thing to think about. Yeah, and the news is it's just for basic information. It's just to see there's still activity, that's for sure. There's still no certain outcome, and whatever you see in the news is there's pictures of Ukraine and Russia being shown as news that are 10 years old. I mean, we've seen that in prior crises before, to manipulate and posture the proper propaganda at what's the media has been instructed to portray upon the general public. Yeah, I have also had some contacts directly from Ukraine and live cell phone footages, and they also had said though that so far very few civilian targets have been hit, and it's mostly military targets that have been taken out. Infrastructure, radio towers, military infrastructure, and so far that's been all. But now with Kyiv, I'm not sure. I don't know anybody directly on the ground there that could offer me information at the moment. But yeah, we'll see how that goes in the next couple of days. What kind of news I'll be getting in. Yes, soldiers. That's the biggest thing. That's kind of interesting to hear because you have soldiers on the ground fighting. That's. I think it's more of the fact that I believe Kiev is already done with. So it's going to be a matter of time, maybe a couple of days. I give it till Sunday, maybe Sunday, where they announce that there is no purpose of defending the Ukraine at the moment. It's been given up, and Ukraine now belongs. It's under Russian rule now, and then from there to see what's going to happen. Well, yeah, those the soldiers. It's not. War is never a nice thing, and you have your patriots, and then you have your people who don't want to fight but have to, and the people who want to fight to defend freedom but don't want to fight at all, but they have to. So, and yes, so yeah, well, okay. I don't know much about that because, like I said, I'm not there. But there's also a lot of news that wants you to think that Russia is the big evil bad guy that's here to bring death and destruction to everybody. Well, we'll see. I agree with you. I'm sure there has been um, some kind of misdemeanor military action there that doesn't that should not have happened. Civilians should not be involved in wartime activities. However, that's impossible to prevent in most cases. Corey Ten Boom. Okay, I will check that out after the stream. I will look into that. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, so we'll see what happens this weekend, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I hope everybody out there is doing some kind of preparation. Have enough drinking water and food at home, even if it's just for a couple of days. Go shopping now while there's a little bit of while the stores aren't flooded with panicking people. If you have pets, keep them in mind, please. If you have dogs and cats and whatever nuts, you want to plan ahead. Headache. Plan ahead for them as well, if you can, because a lot of people forget that they need certain things too, and they won't be available in the first couple of instances as well. Which makes me think I'd want to go buy another 5 or 6 bags of dog food. I might take out my savings and go buy dog food, and that's something. It's like, what'd you spend your life savings on? Dog food. Yeah. But it's one thing. And drinking water, I need to go buy some more. Look at buying a water filter. I don't have one that's for the house. I have a portable one. All right, Bobhead. I thank you for stopping by. I'm probably going to end the stream here in a couple minutes myself. I had to pack up and start closing down the business for the weekend. One day at a time. Yeah, I have quite a stockpile of it. No, that's nothing to worry. It's just making a statement so people understand that if you're going to plan ahead, make sure you plan ahead for your fuzzy friend too. Your fuzzy friends sitting in the car over here looking at me like, "What are you doing talking to a computer?" Oh, I didn't hear about that, Alchemist. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. I heard something about Russia also attacking an island with U.S. soldiers on it. I'm not sure how that near Russia somewhere. I'm not sure if it was the Krim. I've heard about that. Someone told me about that, and I haven't been able to find it on the news. I'll have to get our local newspaper before I go home here from the read that at least to get some information of what's going on. Mm. Okay. So 50 minutes. Yeah, well, every day you find something to hold on to. That's definitely. And well, joy, yes, something that's they can't take that unless you let them. That's like your freedom too. You know what price are you going to pay when they come and say it's going to be this or that? You rather say it's going to be that, and you ain't getting it for free. And that's when a lot of people are going to suffer when that happens. But we'll see. Let's see what happens. So it's on 50 minutes now. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. It's awesome chat we had here. Some very good information, some real good conversation. Very, very entertaining, very educating in some fact that I got some new pointers to go and research, and maybe some more audiobooks to go listen to. I'm going to have to end the live stream at this point. I'm going to have to start packing up the. Yes, thank you, Alchemist, very much. Thank you. I'm going to start having to close up the business for weekend. Okay, we're going to show that. Yes, GB, thank you very much. I will have an awesome day. I'm planning to do lots of awesome things this weekend and share as much possibly with you guys. Doing some filming and YouTube video editing. Yes, yay. I will be trying to do something really cool for you guys too. It's just really difficult to find the right resources the right muse to get me up to do something really right. Lately has been really tough. Getting all these notifications here. I got to click these out of the way. Okay. So after the internet catches up here. All right. Looks like it froze. Oh, great. Okay. Okay. It looks like the timer froze. So what I'm going to do now. Okay. Uh-oh. Something went wrong here. So I hope I'm going to end the stream now. I hope everybody can still hear and see me. I'm going to just give it a second here. Okay, nothing's happening. So something went wrong. So I'm going to end the stream. I guess I overloaded the computer. It's just a real cheap laptop. So I hope everybody I wish everybody a great weekend. And thanks for the great chat. Stay safe. Like always, see you soon.